this is part 2 of our attachment style series as it relates to money. And so we're focusing on the avoidant attachment style today. And so here's the definition of it. An avoidant attachment style is an insecure attachment style. Avoidantly attached people generally have a dismissive attitude towards close relationships. They're often uncomfortable with intimacy and may seem emotionally distant. They may also have difficulty trusting others and may be hesitant to get too close. So this avoidant attachment, this style usually comes from and develops when the parent or main caregiver didn't show care or responsiveness much past providing essentials like food and shelter. So they didn't get necessarily the love, the accolades, the support, the cheerleading, the nurturing that they needed. So then the child disregards their own struggles and needs in order to maintain peace and keep their caregiver close by. And this could be innocent. This isn't necessarily saying, oh, you had terrible parents or terrible caregivers. It could be innocent that they didn't have the capability or capacity because how they were raised. This is where generational family dysfunction and trauma comes from. It just keeps getting passed on and passed on and passed on. So the purpose of doing this series is so that you can see how your attachment style is getting in the way of you having the abundance that you so much desire. And then you can start working towards lessening your grip and shifting some things, and you'll see what happens. I've been doing this work now, specifically on attachment styles when it comes to money, for I'd say the last few months, just experimenting with this, and the results have been phenomenal. People who've been stuck at certain set points for even 10 years in their financial life have finally broke through them. I've broken through my own from doing this continuous work. And I want to shout out again my client and attachment theory expert and psychologist, Dr. Morgan Anderson. She has a show called Let's Get Vulnerable, and she focuses on relationships, particularly like dating, love, and sex with attachment styles. But if you really want to geek out on it and hear from an actual like psychologist, I highly recommend you listen to that show. We know I'm not a relationship expert. I'm a money expert. I'm a business expert. So we're going to keep the focus in that lane over here today. If you're tired of hearing the same old basic mindset and motivational fluff talk, you've come to the right show. Welcome to Project Me with Tiffany Carter, the podcast, where we dish on everything from managing that crazy brain of yours to manifesting abundance to my straightforward, actionable steps that will make you major money online. Now, I'm not your typical multimillionaire entrepreneur. It takes a small village to keep my anxiety and depression in check. I'm inherently disorganized with an intense obsession with office supplies. Your girl here is a digital marketing content expert who's generated over $200 million in sales. I promise by tuning in twice a week, you will get a much needed refreshing dose of truth, clarity, and cash-making advice. Now let's get to it. Bottom line, you're either taking actions that are setting you up to have the life that you want, to have the abundance that you want, the options, the lifestyle, all the things, or you are taking actions or lack of action that will only get you more of the same and settling for that same life that you're not happy with, that same financial status that isn't getting you the freedom of time, the freedom of luxury, the freedom of travel, the freedom of trips, the freedom of options that you're saying you want. It's time for you to change your money story for good. And I have this new one-of-a-kind 4-month mastermind that is going to be perfect for you if you're at that point where you're like, you know what? Enough messing around. I'm going for it. I'm doing what it takes. I'm here. I'm committed to creating the life that I know that I deserve and that I desire. And I just need someone to show me the way, and I'll show up and do my part. So this brand new mastermind combines proven business growth strategy that I'm very well known for, plus my famous proprietary money mindset healing techniques. You're going to change your money story, create life-changing legacy cash while helping countless people with your gifts inside the Abundance League Mastermind. To get all of the details, simply go to our page at projectmewithtiffany.com/Abundance League. You can swipe up. The link's in the show notes. It's also my link in bio on Instagram. We are taking only a maximum of 20 people to ensure that you walk away getting the best results. And this also includes a 2-day live experience with me at my beach house in Los Angeles. That by itself is a $10,000 value. Our introductory pricing for this is mind-blowing. There is no one in the industry that would be giving you this much and this kind of access at this price point. You're going to want to take advantage of it for that alone. But let's make 2023 the year, not that you thought about it, not that you tried, not that you did all the things. Let's make 2023 the year that it happened. So go check that out. Don't wait. It's by application only. Excited to see you guys in there. What up, my people, my posse, my fellow crazies? It's your host, Tiffany Carter, and this is the show that is designed to help you grow your business, your bank account, that big, beautiful brain of yours, your relationships, and everything in between. And so you know how wildly intelligent I am, I just spent the last hour being very irritated on where my designer glasses were that I got not that long ago. And I was like, God, I really don't want to be staring at a screen doing my podcast recordings without them. And I've turned the house upside down looking for these glasses, only to just realize about a minute ago that they were on my fucking head. So that's who you're listening to, and you're entrusting with this vast amount of knowledge today. Thank you so much. I'm like, wow. Well, at least we know the glasses are light. They're so light, I did not feel them on my head. So the avoidant attachment style refers to a tendency to avoid emotional intimacy, independence, and self-reliance in relationships. So here are 5 ways, and there are more than the 5, but I don't want to overwhelm you. Here are 5 ways where I've noticed, and in my research, how as an avoidant attachment style, how you end up repelling the abundance that you actually want to have in your life. This is still blows my mind. The more I'm researching it, the more I'm implementing it and incorporating it into my programs and with my clients, and the results that I'm getting, not just with clients, but also with myself. It really is mind-blowing, but I wanted to make sure before I created the series for you that I vetted my practices and I did enough research so that I'm not wasting your time. I'm actually telling you shit that is going to work. Number 1, and it's in no particular order, financial independence. Individuals with an avoidant attachment style often value their independence and autonomy. They may prioritize financial self-reliance and avoid relying on others for financial support. They may strive to maintain control over their finances, avoiding financial entanglements or interdependence with others. Now, on one hand, you're hearing that and you go, well, that sounds like a badass. That sounds like a great thing. That sounds like a strong, independent, man or woman. Well, drinking water is a great thing, but by the way, you can also drink too much of it and cause a major problem, sodium deficiency in your body. How do I know this? Because I'm a psychopath, and when I was deep into my exercise addiction, I got 2-gallon containers of water and told myself I needed to be drinking that every day along with dandelion root tea, and then passed out while running on the treadmill and almost broke my head open. So anything that's taken to an extreme that's rooted in scarcity and fear, okay, is going to turn bad, is going to push away the actual outcome you want, is going to push it away from you, or you'll get it and not be able to hold on to it. As some people, when they're listening to this, I've had people reach out saying, oh, well, I make a lot of money, so that's not my issue. And okay, but how often do you hold on to it? How much do you really have in the bank? Are you always up against it? Are you cash flush sometimes and then sometimes not? So this whole financial independence thing, how this can screw you when it comes to money is you avoid incredible collaborative opportunities in business because that just feels too close for comfort to you. It's a turnoff to you. You don't want to deal with other people. I've seen a lot of avoidant attachment people resist and avoid hiring coaches, hiring employees, hiring help, or waiting too long until the point where they're either totally burnt out or they've cost themselves in so much time, energy, and money because they were resistant into asking for help or even paying for help and then telling themselves, well, I can just do it, or I'll just do it better, or no one's going to care as much as me. No one's going to do it like me. Now, as I said in our first episode in this series, which is the last episode focused on anxious attachment, so make sure you go listen to that. I was diagnosed by a psychologist as being disorganized, which means I can flip-flop, lucky me, between anxious and avoidant. And I used to be this person. And if I'm not cognizant and working on it and intentional with working on it now, I could slip back into it where I'll resist hiring people, I'll resist investing more money, and then I end up screwing myself because I overwork and I'm taking it on myself, and it would have just been easier in the beginning for me to hire someone to do the damn thing. And now I just know, just hire before you're ready. And you're going to need to invest money a lot of times before the money's there. That's business. And if that makes you that uncomfortable, then maybe you having a business is not the right fit for you. I'm uncomfortable too, believe me. But I also trust myself to make discerning investments, and I also look at the cost factor if I don't. And I don't just mean the financial cost factor. What is it costing you to continue doing everything on your own? What is it costing you to not ask for help? What is it costing you to not pay for help? What is it costing you to not invest in quality expertise and guidance towards you reaching your goals in your business life and your professional life? And you'll have your answer there. If that cost factor is that high, it's time to get out of the avoidant, lean into the secure, and make a move. Number 2, emotional distance from financial matters. So avoidantly attached individuals may emotionally distance themselves from anything that has to do with money, like bills, taxes, discussions. They might view money as a purely practical or instrumental aspect of life and minimize its emotional significance. They may not invest much time or energy into managing their finances or discussing financial topics with others. These are people who often say, well, money's not that important to me. I don't find that money really matters. They even will have judgments on people who talk about money a lot. They can even get a little triggered by people that, flash some cash, talk about success, and they develop like an indifference to money. Like, well, I'm fine either way. Like, I can live in a great house or an apartment. I'm fine. I can drive a junky car or a Maserati, and I'm fine either way. They don't allow themselves to really want because it's vulnerable to want something. And then on the other side of it is they will often find themselves in debt and back taxes because they're avoiding looking at their taxes. They're avoiding and hiring help and looking at them. They don't really want to know. They know it's not good, but they don't want to look. And it's just easier to not look at all. And then that piles up, and then that accumulates and causes a lot of problems. So I've seen this many, many times with clients that come to me who'll say, I've already invested like $200,000 in various coaches and marketing programs and nothing is working. And And it's like, I don't know if I should really be, doing your mastermind, Tiffany, or hiring you or hiring an employee, like when I've spent all this money. And my response always is the same. Well, are you going to get closer to your desired outcome by looking at it black and white and not hiring anybody or getting any help? Is that going to get you closer? Well, no, because then you lose twice. What's going to get you closer? Wouldn't it be to be strategic and discerning and deliberate and looking at it of how I can invest my money and actually have a conversation around what is the best use of my time, energy, and money right now? That's why I make the Abundance League Mastermind, my new one-of-a-kind mastermind. That's why I make it by application only. One, I want you to already come in going, yes, I want to be a part of this. But two, it's a 15-minute call that if I feel your application is a good fit, it's like that final stamp to go, okay, yep, I feel very strongly that as long as you show up and you're willing, that you are going to walk away with incredible results from this. Because I want you to be deliberate and discerning and excited and want to invest in yourself. But it can feel very scary to an avoidant to want for anything, because when you want something, then you become attached to something. And the whole point of this attachment style is to avoid attachment. So whether you're wanting something or you're not wanting something, there's an energy attachment there. And avoidants try to avoid all of it by being indifferent. And if you're indifferent, what energy do you think that sends out for manifestation in the universe? It sends out an indifference. So maybe sometimes you'll get some cash flow, sometimes you won't, because you're not specifying what it is you want and being very intentional about it. So you're basically putting nothing out into the world because that actually feels safer for you. Number 3, avoiding financial vulnerability. Avoidantly attached individuals may avoid situations or conversations that require emotional vulnerability, such as discussing financial goals, concerns, or seeking financial advice. They may be reluctant to ask for help or support regarding financial or business matters, preferring to figure things out on their own. And what do I always say about that? Figuring things out on your own is not a profitable business plan. If you went on the Shark Tank and Mr. Wonderful goes and Mark Cuban goes, what is your, marketing and business growth plan for this? And the person says, well, our plan is to figure it out on our own because most people suck and we don't want to spend that money because we don't have money coming in yet. So we're just going to do it all on their own. I invest in people's businesses. I would never invest in a business where someone said that. That's not a plan that's not sustainable and that's not scalable. I'm not saying that you have to all of a sudden out the gate hire a team of 15. That's going to the other extreme. But I would be concerned for how someone is really thinking through things if they're not looking, what expert can I hire to help show me the way so I can get there faster and easier and make way more money versus it being 2 years from now. I mean, if you want 2023 to be the year that you actually did it and not the year that you tried more things, you spent more time trying to figure it out, you researched more, you took more classes, do you want that? Or if you want it to be the year that you did the thing and reap the rewards from it, well, there's got to be a level of vulnerability and willingness and trust in investing in learning from an expert and being able to have a clear action plan and work through this stuff. And I welcome you to apply to the Abundance League. I am open to coach all of my avoidance, all of my anxious attachments, all of my disorganized. You guys are just as crazy as me. And that is why you come to me, because my glasses are once again on my head. And I just said to myself while I was talking to you, what the hell did I do with my glasses again? I haven't moved in the last 45 minutes. And then I turned my head to the right and I went, oh my God, please don't tell me these are on my head again. So there's that. Number 4. Financial disengagement in relationships. Avoidant attachment styles can lead to a reluctance to merge finances or share financial responsibilities within a relationship. So individuals with this attachment style may prefer to maintain separate bank accounts, avoid joint financial decisions, or resist financial transparency with their partner. They may fear losing their independence or being financially controlled by others. This one can get a little dicey. I am a separate bank account kind of gal. That's my thing. And that's okay. But what would not be healthy would be like me not being open or excited to like buying a house with a partner, like going in on a joint asset with a partner. That would be going really far with it. How this can show up in business life and not just in a relationship life is resisting having support and guidance from people that you don't pay. I notice a lot of avoidants will pay for like one-on-one coaching with me. They'll do stuff like that. But when it comes to a group thing, a mastermind thing, being in my posse, going, like a more intimate networking thing and having other people that they don't pay or employ. So like close business friends or even their close friends, non-lover friends, letting them in on, the financial intimacy of their life. And that doesn't mean you have to share everything, but letting them in that area, they greatly, greatly avoid that for fear of being abandoned and rejected for that. And so it's like you might have that friend or you might be that person where you really never know what the hell goes on in their financial world. Like it's kind of a mystery. Like to even where you might not even be entirely sure how this person makes all their money or why they're always in a jam or what their significant other does for work. They almost can seem very mystical, evasive, mysterious, but what they really are being is avoidant because that would be intimate for them to discuss financial matters, which reads in their nervous system as a high risk for being disregarded, for being judged, for being abandoned by letting people in that way. Number 5, accumulating financial resources for security. So due to a desire for self-reliance and security, individuals with an avoidant attachment style may prioritize accumulating financial resources, aka, like my accountant loves to call me, the chipmunk. They may focus on saving money, investing, and building financial reserves as a means of providing a sense of stability and security in their lives. So if you've been following this, you can see how I was properly diagnosed. I am a disorganized attachment style because I flip-flop between the two. And I definitely get called the chipmunk by my CPA because it's like, I want more nuts in the tree, more nuts in the tree, more nuts in the tree. And it's not because I'm greedy. It's because I attach that to safety and security. But it can go too far where you're either not willing to part with any of it because you don't want to disrupt that illusion of security, or you become obsessed with it, or it's like enough's enough already. My dad, for example, is an avoidant attachment. He passed before my 25th birthday. My dad was a cheap ass. So straight up, a lot of avoidants are cheap. Straight up saying that. I used to be a cheap ass when it came to my business. Totally cheap. My dad was just cheap all around. And it used to embarrass me. My mom was the opposite, very gregarious, like extreme tipper to the point where it was like bizarre. And my dad back then would literally give like 15% tips to the penny, even if it was like a regular, waiter that he knew. It was always to the penny. Like he would do the math on the receipt and I'd be totally horrified. When there were payphones and I was a little girl and he'd take me to like New York City, he would put his finger in each of the payphones to see if there was any change left in the bottom. So I obviously must have picked up on some of this from my dad, and he ended up doing that. Well, you want to know what ended up happening? And I can't go fully into it for some obvious and not so obvious reasons. Because my dad was a cheap ass, he hired a cheap ass attorney for his estate, and therefore his house that he paid cash for, that my dad worked hard for, that was left to me in a will, ended up not going to me because of one piece of paper that was not done. That is a no-brainer if you are a proper, attorney in the area of trust and wills. And that was not done, and there was nothing I could do about it. So granted, he's in the grave, but my dad, I'm sure from the grave, from the heavens, even though in black and white he left that to me, I didn't get it. His only living relative, as a result of him being a cheap ass. So there are lots of things that you end up paying an expensive price for energetically, financially, emotionally, physically, spiritually, because you're being cheap, because you're trying to save, because you have this attachment that saving keeps you safe. And that is what comes up first, and there's no other thought process to it. So I wanted to give you an example so you could see how that could happen. And in a relationship, whether it's a business partnership or it's with a significant other, you can see how this can be a struggle, because you'll have one person wanting to invest in something for the greater good of the family, for a passion, for a fulfillment, and the other person is just so rooted in being a chipmunk and just can't let go of it. And now you have a lot of financial disputes going on. That's the number one cause for divorce. It's not cheating. It's not verbal abuse, physical abuse. It's financial stuff. All this stuff comes up. Same reason for business partnerships untangling. 95% of the time, it's because of money, and it goes back to these misaligned and untreated attachment styles where either you're not aware of them, or you're aware of them and you're not doing anything to work towards being securely attached, or you're doing that work and the other person isn't. I was in a relationship where I'm this disorganized attachment, and I was with an extreme avoidant dismissive who didn't do any of the work. If I had also not been doing any of the work, that would have been very, very costly. But because I was doing the work, I was able to maintain some semblance of sanity and was able to make really smart decisions as a result. But was that relationship sustainable as it was? No, it wasn't. Because that's very difficult when you have dueling attachment styles. And I'm not saying it's not possible, and I'm not a relationship expert, as I keep giving that disclaimer, but it really causes a lot of conflict. It's like when people apply to work with me or apply for my mastermind, and then they come on, and then it's like, I say, okay, I feel you'd be a great fit. And are you going to do I'm going to send you the registration link. You have the payment plan option, or you can pay in full and save some money. It's like, oh, I have to ask my husband. Anytime I hear that, which is rare because people know, don't give me that shit. Like, don't apply, especially when you're knowing what the price point starts at, which is on the page for the Abundance League. Like, my ass isn't cheap. I have a variety of ways to look with me, but I ain't cheap because I get you results and I have the receipts. And we don't do cheap over here. We're the creme de la creme. And if you want to be in the Abundance League, you want to play at that league, that'd be really weird if that was cheap. We don't do cheap. Cheap gets you cheap results, okay? Do you want a cheap manicure? Do you want cheap permanent makeup done on your eyebrows? Do you want a cheap color job on your hair? Do you want a cheap construction job done on your house? I don't think so. But when people come on and end up saying that, I go, well, help me understand. Like, I get it if you have an agreement with your significant other, if you're spending over a certain amount, you kind of need to let them know what you're doing. But are you telling me you have to go ask for permission? What's going on here? Because you already knew what the price point was before you applied. So why would, you know what I mean? Don't apply if you're not excited, truly excited to invest and pay the price in order to get the results you're saying you want. It's like pure insanity to me. It truly blows my mind. And I understand if you have a financial agreement that you need to let your person in your life know, hey, I'm investing for my business in working with this world-renowned business and money expert and doing her mastermind, blah, 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 blah. And I just want to let you know it's a tax write-off and this is how much it is. Like, if you're doing, I appreciate that. But if you're going to someone and you're like asking permission and coming at it from that energy, this is coming from fear. This is coming from an attachment style that needs some healing. Because anyone who goes to anybody that isn't in confidence and excitement about something that they want, whether it's a couch, whether you want to go on a trip, whether you want to have a new car, whether you want to invest in something, if you come at it with this kind of like lackluster, I'm scared, I'm uncertain approach, well, yeah, of course you're setting yourself up for the other person to go, well, you don't really seem like that confident about this or that into it. So why would I co-sign on it, right? I wouldn't invest in someone's business who isn't like, no, I absolutely want to work with this person. I have a really good feeling about this. This is exactly what I need to fill the holes in my business. And I'd be like, great. I love how discerning you are. That sounds great. And I support you. But if someone came to me, I don't know. And I'm thinking about doing this and I'm not sure, and I think this is a good idea, I wouldn't co-sign on that. I'd be like, well, come back to me when you're more certain and in conviction about the thing. So these are all these subtle ways that our attachment styles that stem from childhood play out in our financial house and are absolutely repelling the very thing you want. And the goal is to get closer to secure attachment. And this takes deliberate work. And this is why this is included in my Abundance League Mastermind. I've been testing this with clients, testing this with myself, doing a ton of research, and the results have been so phenomenal that there is no way that I can't infuse this into my programs in order for you guys to get the best results. If you love this episode, share it with someone who comes to mind. Share it with a family member. Share it with your significant other. In fact, this would be a great episode to share with someone who may relate to being an avoidant attachment style to get a discussion going. This could be a nice little icebreaker to even listen to it in the car together. Go leave a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts for the show. Put your name or Instagram handle in the review. Take a screenshot, DM it to me on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany, and let me treat you to a luxuriating beverage of your choice is my way of saying thank you for being such an appreciative listener of the show. If you're being lazy and only have a couple seconds, just tap the 5 stars on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts. That still counts as a review and that goes a long way, but you're not getting a luxuriating beverage for that. I need you to put a little more skin in the game for that one. Okay, people? Share this in your Instagram, Facebook stories. Really appreciate you allowing more people to experience this show. And this is really a beautiful topic for your employees, your downline, your biz friends to really start normalizing these interesting conversations around money. People are so comfortable now having it when it relates to relationships and dating, but not enough is being talked about in how this relates to money. So next time we are going to be covering the disorganized attachment style. So I will see you in that episode. Wishing you great health, wealth, and worth as always. Love you. And again, to go get the details on the Abundance League, you can swipe up. The link is in the show notes. It is also in my link in bio on Instagram at Project Me with Tiffany. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a 5-star review on iTunes. Not only will this make me super happy, but it will allow more listeners to find our special show. Simply help me help others.